Hi, I'm Cheryl Duffy, divorce coach, mediator, parenting coordinator, and I'm here today with Amanda Dounis from Positive Thinking Clinic, and we will be talking about emotional support at the onset of separation. So, Amanda, would you like to introduce yourself? And I understand you have a few questions to ask.
Thank you, Cheryl. Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Dounis, and I know our lovely Cheryl has already introduced me. I'm really excited about a topic like this because I'm also a counsellor, psychotherapist, and I'm heavily involved in the early childhood industry. And so I do see what happens with separation and the emotional aspect of it as well. So it's extremely important. And what I love most is that Cheryl and I get to connect and see how we can move forward, helping the community who need it. So I do have a few questions. And Cheryl, firstly, according to you, why is it important for separated parents to receive psychological and emotional support at the onset of separation?
Well, I think at the onset, we can help right from the beginning to stop that escalation into conflict. So I find that a lot of times I'll get people at the onset and I can help and guide them through and get them to understand and have empathy for the other person that's in the relationship. Now, the problem is a lot of times I'll get clients who have already got into high conflict, and so therefore they haven't had the emotional support that they've needed. So I find that when parties just go directly out to lawyers, that can add to the adversarial impact and cause more escalating conflict. So I find it's really important, particularly for the one that's been left. They can feel like they've been blindsided, they're in denial, they're shocked. Surely our relationship isn't over. So they can really be resisting the separation and really need the emotional support right at the beginning. Whereas the person that has left, they're the ones that are thinking, oh, I've had to make that decision because I just couldn't see it working into the future. And I'm really ready to start the process of separation and start a new life. So one can be ready and one can be not ready. So by having that emotional and psychological support with a counselor or a psychologist will really help them be able to not be the victim going into the separation, but be empowered to be able to help them through those challenges.
I agree, because even at that onset, quite often that's the turning point. That's where support is actually needed. That's that critical moment. There's a lot of shock going on and a lot of uncertainty. And so it's quite easy for either party to find themselves into, a negative mindset or poor decisions. So let me ask you this then. What happens if they don't receive psychological and emotional support?
Well, I just find that it turns into a big battle. So they keep triggering each other and the conflict just keeps escalating. So when they don't have that support, even within themselves, they can be feeling as though their life is out of control. They haven't got control on anything. So that can really heighten their emotions and their anger because they're trying to get some control over some of the steps in the separation. So it's about trying to give them the help that they need at the beginning so that they can work together. And although they may not feel like they want to work together because they don't want to be with or even see this person ever again, but the problem is really the parents' responsibility to be the good role models to help their family transition through separation. Because they can't just throw their hands back and say, look, I don't want to even deal with you. This is the other party. Because they've got children that are still wanting to have an ongoing relationship with the other parent. So I feel that the parents have a duty to make sure this works, to make the separation be as amicable as possible. Of course, there's going to be tensions, but you've got to be able to then self-regulate those tensions when you feel those warning signs coming that you're starting to get uptight. You need to have some strategies in place to be able to help you get through that because it is a really difficult time. And I just feel that if they had the support, they won't spiral then into depression, resentment and bitterness that can really poison that co-parenting relationship. And, you know, the kids are not going to see their parents as good role models. They'll see them as being quite mean to each other.
I couldn't agree more. And in addition to that, and you said that so well, in addition to that, they're going to be experiencing emotions that they haven't felt before. It'll be a different anger to what they've experienced in the past. It'll be a different resentment. It'll be different grief. It'll be different anxiety, a different level of sadness. And so they just may lack the skills to make the right decisions at that time, especially when we're so aroused with emotion. Our rational mind tends to decrease a little bit, and support is absolutely necessary, especially when there are kids involved.
Definitely.
Sometimes individuals need to be reminded that even though you have separated now, you're still somehow connected because of the children, and that's a new learning for them. And so that comes to parenting now. How does it affect their parenting if their emotions are left to run high during separation and divorce? Surely that has a great impact.
Well, it has a huge impact because the children are going through this separation. The family unit is breaking down, but you are able to keep that family unit together beyond separation. It's in a different form. It's in two loving homes, but it's about maintaining that respect, that mutual respect for each other, and knowing that they have to get through this together. So I find that children are really impacted emotionally, their development, psychologically, because they're seeing that their parents, it's like a tug of war. They're sort of pulling it, you know, the children between them to say, no, I need to have more time. No, I need to have more time. And even when a child is wanting to go to an event, they might be invited to a birthday party, and it might be on the other parents' parenting time, and they might be, no, I don't get enough time with little Billy, let alone them going off doing something else. So it's really about making it child focused. The separation really must be child focused. What's the best for interest for the children, in making sure that the impact for them is not as bad as what it is for the parents. So yes, as parents, we need to step up and make sure that we're helping our kids through this. And it's really important that kids are not sort of brought into the dispute. They don't want to hear mum or dad bad-mouthing the other parent, because let's face it, they are half of each of those parents, and you can make them reject part of themselves because they're feeling that, you know, oh, well, that parent is being told to me that they're bad, but I'm half of them. And, you know, I see so many parents who just don't want to see their ex. They hate their ex. But unfortunately, you know, the children don't hate that other parent. And so therefore you have to make allowances to think, what is going to be best to keep my children connected to their father or their mother, and ensure they maintain those relationships, because you have to really be thinking about how the kids are feeling. So I always say to clients, especially when I'm going to do a mediation, and I just say to them, you know, tell me first up, what would you like your children to say in their 18th birthday speech about their childhood, about their parents, about you guys? Because I really find that if parents can help their kids through that and make it work in two loving homes, then the children will thrive. But if they're really being torn between the two parents and being made to choose or have an alliance with one parent, it can really do some long-term damage, particularly when the children have their future romantic relationships. They can then have all of this sort of damage that's being done on what they feel is how a relationship works. So you really want to be a great role model for your children. So it's not just about yourself, it's not about your ex, but it's really about the kids and helping them.
I totally agree. You know, I've been in the early childhood industry since 1999 in my own business. And so given the the time we're in right now. I've seen thousands of families pass through me, and that's been a delight. But that also means I've seen many of them separate as well. And I have been able to witness firsthand impacts on the adult individuals and the children as well, and then carry it over inside my own clinic here as well, children that come from separated or divorced parents. And I couldn't agree with you more. Children can definitely thrive, and I see that happen if all the support is there and they seek it and they get to understand what they need for themselves. There's more to it than just separating in a bitter divorce as well. There's also decisions to make on behalf of the children that they're raising, and otherwise there's risk of depression, anxiety. And so that brings me to my next question. Who do you find, according to your experience, are most at risk of depression if they don't seek therapeutic support, like a psychologist or a counsellor, during their separation or their divorce? What have you noticed?
Well, I find it's a lot of people who have been impacted by infidelity, or they were the ones that have been left and feel rejected and abandoned, and at that point have seemed to have created a belief in themselves that they were the problem. Something was wrong with them that made the other person leave. So it can have this damaging effect on your own self-esteem, your self-worth. And if you don't seek that help, you can't basically gain an understanding from an external point of view that it wasn't because of you. It could have been your ex could have been feeling very dissatisfied with their life in general, that they haven't achieved everything they wanted to achieve and felt they were running out of time, getting older and wanting to go out and seek new adventures, wanting to have a different life. It's not always about, the person that they're leaving. I feel that someone that has been left can be the one spiraling into that depression. And if they haven't had the psychological help, and I use my own example, I didn't see a psychologist for 6 years after my divorce. And I had unfortunately allowed myself to self-sabotage with the comfort eating, become negative, to be too scared to date again because I felt I didn't want to get hurt again. And I just felt that I was still living in limbo in my past life without my ex there. So it was basically not sort of shifting and accepting that relationship was over. Although I knew it was over, I just felt that I couldn't imagine myself being with someone else and being able to protect myself. Like I felt like I needed to protect my heart and not basically go out and seek a new relationship. So it wasn't until I did embrace a psychologist later on that I did uncover. The psychologist said to me, well, you don't have a car accident and never drive again. So why do you feel that, you've had this separation, this breakup, and you feel that the pain of that breakup you could never endure again? But you are honestly much more stronger the next time round. So, and I have had relationship post my divorce. My divorce was 15 years ago, but you do become a lot stronger. So as time goes on, you know that if, I've just adopted the mantra, what will be, will be. So it's a case of you yourself can become a much stronger person and be able to create a happier life than you did before. At the time of the divorce, you may think that you'll never be happy again, that life won't be the same. Well, it won't be the same, but it's going to be different and it's going to be fantastic because you will find somebody else into the future, and you're not even needing to be with somebody else into the future. You can create a happy life without having to be coupled up. That's separating from being a married person, which you may have been for many, many years, and trying to shift to being a single person is quite a transition. So it's about making sure that you can create, look at what passions that you might have, what things that you wanted to achieve in your life, and you hadn't done it because there were constraints within your marriage, the kids kept you so busy, and then it's a real opportunity when you finally see that you've been quite liberated, and you don't have to ask for approval to paint the wall pink, or be able to watch what you want on the TV and have that argy-bargy and trying to wrestle with the remote control. It gives you a sense of freedom that you can do whatever you want to. So it's a case of looking at having that psychological help that's going to help you shift from being stuck in the past, being that prisoner to your past, and helping you let go and move on. So, the world's your oyster. You honestly are able to create a wonderful life ahead of you. And I often say to clients, you might be pining for your ex because you still might even feel love for them and want them. But define what you want as a relationship. You want someone who adores you and loves you. You want someone who's going to think you're the best thing since sliced bread. And yet that person that left wasn't feeling that way. So wouldn't it be so much better to find someone into the future when you're ready and healed who is going to, going to be a better match for you and be able to give you the love that you want, but also making sure that you love who you are so that you are out there being able to share love as opposed to seeking love and just ending up with someone similar. So it's really, really important, I feel, to have that psychologist or counselor who helps you process those emotions and help you through to the other side.
That was so lovely for you to share your story, because I think all the listeners out there that have been in that situation or who currently are in that situation would really value hearing your progress, what you needed, how you worked through it, what you thought at the time, and how your life ended up. It's a fine example of support is there. It's about recognizing that you need it. And even if you don't recognize that you need it, it's also a good idea to know that I'm going to seek some emotional support right now during this onset of separation. And I think nowadays we actually realize how important it is to do that immediately, just to make sure that we stay on track, because quite often when we're off track, we don't notice it until it's a little bit too late and the emotional grievances come and hijack us. And so the Divorce Centre, how does the Divorce Centre help families that are impacted by divorce?
Well, we've got a holistic approach. So we do help people, even when they're in the position of thinking, should I stay or should I go? It's about helping people work through, they could be under some external pressures that are making them feel trapped in a relationship and they're just wanting to escape their life. It could be they've been made redundant, there could be financial pressures, there could be an unwell family member, and it can start to basically poison the rest of your life, relationships, work relationships as well. Lots of different things can be impacted by stresses from other areas of your life. So it's about really assessing, is it the relationship you really want to leave, or is it that escape, wanting to flee your life because it's so overwhelming and so stressful? So we can work through with people from a divorce coaching point of view, helping people plan for separation if that's what they're really wanting. And instead of going to a lawyer's office and spilling out a lot of the emotion, and which is a very, very expensive resource, a divorce coach will help you plan your separation, get all of your information together that you're going to need. So when you do go for a lawyer consultation, you're not going there with a blank piece of paper and not prepared to maximize that time, that very costly time with a lawyer. So it's really important to have that consultation, know what you're going to go into the mediation with. So we provide mediation, family dispute resolution or property mediation, so that people can really understand going forward and going into mediation what their options are, so that they are then in a position to be able to explore the issues they're currently having, look at those options and have those options reality tested during mediation, and then come to some form of agreement. Now, if they don't have that support, that emotional support at the onset of separation, what I find is people have not been able to de-escalate the conflict in their relationship. So therefore, they go into mediation, high conflict, and have a less chance of reaching agreement. So it's really important to be able to have that mediation where you're all prepared emotionally and having all of the information that you need to negotiate well, to be able to make rational decisions instead of coming from a place of pain and hurt and having those knee-jerk reactions. And then basically there's courses, the online courses that we run, and the live parenting after separation course once a month. So it's about having courses that you can do that supplement your support, basically. A lot of the courts want you to do a parenting after separation course before you even head to the courts. There's anger management courses, because particularly with domestic violence and emotional abuse that can occur during separation, it's really important to make sure that you're not going to be on the other end of an AVO, or you're not going to be on the other end of abuse. So it's about making sure we keep both parties calm, respectful, and working with each other. And then we have the parenting coordination. So once you've got your signed parenting plan, your consent orders or parenting orders in place, the conflict doesn't just stop there. Just because you've got what is going to be, what you're going to be doing with your living arrangements and so forth, you then need to understand the how. So a parenting coordinator can work with you to make sure the communication doesn't go south, go sour, and you're turning it into a big conflict, and then you start not adhering to the court orders that then make you end up going back to court. So a parenting coordinator really helps you implement your court order or your parenting plan, so that you get into that rhythm of, this is the new family structure now, this is how we do things, and this is how we're going to resolve day-to-day disputes. So it's basically having that coaching, that training to be able to help you enable the family to get through this family structure change.
Absolutely. You've got it all covered, it seems. So it's really nice to know that when someone's stuck in this position, that they have the divorce centre to turn to. How would someone contact you? What's the easiest way to do that?
Well, they can just go to the website, thedivorcecentre.com.au, and they're able to see there's the contact page, or there's the my telephone number there that they can reach out to have a chat. I offer a free 30-minute discovery call, so we can talk about their situation and what they might need to be able to go forward, so they get the support that they need. But it's really, really important that emotional support, and having the likes of you, Amanda, at the Positive Thinking Clinic, to be able to help people be prepared emotionally for such a very, very challenging time in their life. And that's not just for the parents, that's for the children too, because the children need that support also. So I know that you support the children in these circumstances as well. So the whole family can really gain the support they need when the family's going through this crisis.
I couldn't agree more. There's so much different modalities that we can use in our therapeutic practices, just to make sure that there's the emotional support for children of all ages, the under fives, the teenagers, even adults, and the individuals who are separating as well. It just really matters at that time that support is available to them, and that they take the option of, even if it's for a short time or if it's ongoing, it's really an individual difference. We can't speed up the process. It's a matter of accessing and, wanting that support and committing to it. And then they're almost just almost guaranteed back on track, back to happy living, back to comfortable lifestyles, and leave things in the past where they belong. Create a new narrative for themselves and know that there's always tomorrow to move forward as their best selves. And even if the family is now divided and separated, it doesn't mean therefore we're all unhappy forever. It doesn't mean that at all. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I think it was really useful to have something like this to offer listeners who are interested, just so that they can, number one, feel comfortable, know that how they can contact you, and know the importance of emotional support, especially during the onset of separation. Thank you so much for today.
That's fine. Thank you, Amanda. And, a good shout out to you too, the Positive Thinking Clinic. It's a great place for you to get the counselling support you need for your family. So look Amanda up on her website, positivethinkingclinic.com.au, and gain the support that you need.